The bow and arrow is one of the most recognizable historic weapons still around today. Experts estimate that archery was invented around the end of the Stone Age, or 11,000 to 9,000 BC. The first culture known to adopt the bow is Egypt at roughly 5,000 years ago. The bow and arrow are present in folklore, specifically the 9 bows representing the 9 ruling tribes. In China, it was adopted during the Shang dynasty, 1766 BC, and later spread to Japan in the 6th century AD. The bow became very important to Japanese culture and even has its own martial art, Kyudo, the way of the bow, which is still taught traditionally. In the Americas, it is estimated the bow was invented around the 8th century, where it remained one of the most valuable tools for Native Americans until colonization. Once the Iron Age came about and shields and armor became much more reliable against archers, they became less commonplace on the battlefield. In English culture and Western European warfare, however, archery remained very much alive. English kings conscripted contests and prizes to learn who the best archers were, although they were usually placed along with peasants and large banks of archers to blanket enemies. Folk stories such as Robin Hood helped demonstrate how important the bow was to English culture for a period of time.
I split Robin's arrow in twain!
Archery has been making a comeback in recent years due to main characters of big-budget movies wielding the bow and arrow. Specifically, actress Jennifer Lawrence in The Hunger Games generated the most buzz about archery as she had a very large role, and is very attractive. Jeremy Renner, in his role as Hawkeye in the Avengers, also popularized the bow with his superhero-worthy aim. There is a large emphasis on the skills people possess to shoot accurately with a bow, but what role does the bow itself have in all this? The bow, coupled with the arrow, is a fearsome weapon because of the force that the bow imparts on the arrow when fired. The string is drawn back, bending the frame of the bow. The frame acts like a spring and converts all of the mechanical energy one puts into potential energy. When the string is released, all the potential energy is converted back to mechanical energy very rapidly, and the arrow launches from the bow. Because the bow acts like a spring, its force can be modeled by Hooke's law. The spring constant in Hooke's law depends on the geometry, cross-sectional area, undeformed length, and nature of the material being used. Let's focus on how the materials that make ancient and modern bows affect the potential spring energy of the bow. Ancient bows were made with wood in every culture. The wood itself is a natural composite with the stiff cell walls providing support and a protein-based polymer matrix binding the walls together. When force is applied to the wood, the load is spread among all the cell walls by the polymer matrix. This allows the wood to flex far without permanently or plastically deforming. The farther the wood can bend, the more potential energy it can store to release into the arrow. Modern bows are also made out of composites. The flexion provided in these New Age weapons usually occurs in arms made of fiberglass or carbon fiber. Long and strong carbon fibers are bound together in an epoxy matrix in carbon fiber. Any force applied to a specific area of the composite will be spread around due to the epoxy. By allowing all of the different carbon fibers to share the load, it requires much more force to cause the material to break, which in turn allows the bow to flex much further and to store much more energy. And yes, that is me shooting a bow, and yes, they are very, very, very fun to shoot, especially if you hit the target. Thank you for watching our video. Have a nice day.